Okay, I'm going to call us to order at 7 p.m. It appears everyone is present. Is there anyone that would like to make comment this evening? And if not, I will move right along. Dr. Klaus was scheduled to be here. I don't see him, so if he does come, we'll just go back to that. There were a couple of let me drag, I got a couple of, Ricky and I met and talked about the fireworks issue a bit also, and there were some areas I think need some clarity and direction, but I'll sit on that a little just in case he does come. Marty, I didn't have it on the agenda, but did you get a chance to follow up to see if David Rabideau might be here next Tuesday?
I did not get a chance to do that. I'll try to get to.
So I'm just going to sit on this as well then. Tuesday might work for them, just to remind for everyone, of course, we do meet next Tuesday. We started our PESH trainings last week. We have another training, Public Employee Safety and Health, as is mandated by law. We have one tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. If we don't get everyone in, we'll be looking to send people for some training.
Who's required to do that?
Everyone, all of our employees. I always participate because I'm a regular full-time employee as well. Certainly counselors would be invited to do so if they like. In many ways, I feel it was an overview versus a training. I think it exposed some issues, it brings up some questions, it shares some process, shares some of the mandates. Bonnie Black does it with EAS. She does a great job. In fact, at our Clinton County Supervisors meeting this month, I shared some things concerning PESH, and we are going to get her to come in and do something for the entire group. Not everybody, I don't think everybody, I don't know, I better retract my comment. I'm not sure that everybody does the annual PESH training, so we're going to give them some awareness. One of the things I'm going to have worked on, we should have a PESH binder. We've done a lot of things. Mr. Crowell's worked on a lot of that. I spoke with him briefly today. We have a policy book, and we have the handbook, and I don't know, you know. A lot of what we need for PESH is to pull documentation from those other documents and put it in one that says PESH on the spine. You can be visited. We have been visited. One of the other municipalities near us was visited last week as well. You do want to have everything in order. Again, I feel pretty good about what we've done, but it needs to be collated into a central spot. Once we do that, my plan is to invite PESH to come and review what we've done. And the word on the street is shortly after you do that, the other PESH guy comes to check things for compliance. One of the items I wanted to mention, and I don't know if I even shared with you, following the security review, and that's been received very favorably by Bonnie Black the other day, as I shared with her what we had done and others. We've created these folders, and you know, Murphy's Law, how things go sometimes. I know it took at least 2 months to get the right folders. I mean, this isn't rocket science. It's a waterproof folder that we put paper fasteners in. We got the wrong ones, and finding one that is waterproof, and I wanted the color red, etc. But it's done. And you're welcome to look at this if you'd like. What this is much the same. It's pulling from the full report documents into this, which is a quick reference guide. And in here I've put emergency numbers, you know, and we had this conversation, well, you know, the ultimate emergency number is called 911, tell them what you need. Uh, That's correct, but there are also times when you don't want to call 911 because I'm just concerned. I think I smell gas. I think that could be a hazard. I'm not certain, but I'm concerned that someone who may be of a danger to the community may be coming back to the town hall sort of thing. Hostages, chemical spills, fire emergencies, et cetera, et cetera. And then what we've done with these is I've asked for one to be put in every office. For example, my office, it shouldn't just be proprietary to me what the numbers are and where the numbers are. If I'm not there, Deborah needs to know, or anyone who's in the office. The same in Scott's office. Any of the girls can grab the red folder. The other thing that we found, and I encourage, we have some people that basically live out of their vehicle. And they're very much in a position where they might see something. As Bonnie shared with us, your workspace may be the truck. It may be the ditch you're working in. It may be the water line. Wherever you are performing your duties as an employee of the town is your work site. And issues such as harassment, bullying, and so on may take place at that off-campus work site. So a number of our staff have taken these for their vehicles as well. Steve, for example, can get called out in the middle of the night. He feels pretty comfortable. He's done it for a number of years and has his own portfolio. But that's what we've done, and if anyone wants to see it, we've still got some copies. If anyone wants a copy, you're certainly welcome to it. I know there are times when you may also get a phone call from someone on a weekend in the evening, and they have a concern. Do you know the DEC number to give it to them? They say, I think somebody's burning trash. Then you call DEC. All that stuff is in here, so if you have an interest, let me know and we'll get one to you. We did go through training, as I said, the basic facts, etc. And I do want to follow up with a particular binder that would be in the situation room. We're in the process of reviewing our training, etc. So that's, if you're PESH, that's what's going on. We also had a visit last week. Kind of leave that at that for now until later. Any thoughts, questions, comments? If not, I'll move right along. Oil Train Task Force. I think I emailed something concerning that. Rochelle Armstrong was on the agenda for the supervisors meeting as well. She's been very concerned, you might be aware, with the oil trains that are going through the city. It isn't just a city issue. I probably said it to you before, I've said it many times. I remember being in the mayor's office and seeing that train go through out the window, and I watched and I watched and I watched and said, oh my God. Those trains go through the town of Plattsburgh as well. They go through communities where we have a density of population as well. They go along the lake, part of our mileage as well. I think we should be concerned. One of the things that we've been asked is if we might have a volunteer that we could appoint by resolution to sit on the regional task force, oil train task force. And probably write the description of that. It's something that's coming together. There are two questions that go with that. One is, would this board like to have a member? And if so, number two is, would someone be willing to participate in that? Then if you are, I will put together a resolution for that appointment. I need not answer right now, but if you give me a little direction, I'll know how to move forward.
I think as a board, we should support that. I think the reasons you just talked about, the whole question of public safety associated with those trains is really a vital issue. I watched the last, probably it's about 10 days ago now, because I think I commented on it, about a week ago. I watched a lady down by Cliff Haven, where the overpass is, where the train crosses over Route 9. She would not go under that overpass while those cars were going over. She stopped, and she had traffic backed up. And the nature of that configuration of the road there, you know, it wasn't really appropriate for somebody to try to go around her. So she had quite a little backup created there. But I also understood.
Sure.
You know,
And unfortunately, if she could see it, she was probably already too close if something happened.
absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, if something were to happen and those trains buckled and ran into each other, I mean, they would have been coming off that overpass.
Well, that's what, I mean, that situation, Marty, in particular, you know, it identifies two issues that we're facing right now. You know, the oil with the trains, but then also the bridges. I mean, we continue to see in New York State, you know, a wide variety of bridges and tunnels, et cetera, that have not been maintained appropriately over the age of their life expectancy and such. So, you know, one little dip, and there you go. You know, whether it occurs in the city of Plattsburgh or the town of Plattsburgh or one of the municipalities that, you know, touch ours, it certainly will impact the region, and the region will suffer.
I was approached by individuals concerned with the topic a while ago, and my comment was, this is bigger than us. We really need to talk to the county legislature. And they've gotten some traction there as well. So I'm interpreting from what I'm hearing and not hearing that the board would be interested in having someone participate on this task force to get information and so on. And so I will go forward with that, but in order to complete it, I need to know who might be interested in serving. I don't know when they're going to meet, how frequently, or anything else, but that would be determined. Anyone like their name considered?
A point of interest, excuse me for interrupting, but there is a seminar presentation.
I've got that information coming up soon.
Okay, I didn't have the date, but
Yep.
if you're aware of it, then
Yep.
that's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
The type of issues you just raised, when, you know, how frequently, those are important questions as to, you know.
I could do
Do you have
it.
any idea what the makeup of the training task force is?
I really don't at this point. They're pulling it together. I know legislators McManus and Reed are very interested, as is Councilor Armstrong and many others. I think one thing that we could do is we could pass a resolution that we should participate and leave a name off it, just that the town will have a representative at the meetings, and whoever can make it goes, and rather than tag it on one particular person. I'm sure they would appreciate the former involvement of the town and the support of the town. The name may be secondary.
Well, one is if it's just necessarily a board member or a board member and somebody else who might be very knowledgeable about this from our town that would represent us.
I think at this point, Tom, they would be very pleased to have any number of people. I think they're concerned about the representation covering a variety of agencies and municipalities versus too heavy one way or the other. It's just hard for me to respond to that because it's being formed right now, and I'm not part of the team forming it. What I can do is, and I think it might be the best way to go right now, we can do a resolution of support, certainly indicating the reasons why, and that the town would have a representative, be it a town board member or someone from the community that we would appoint. We appoint community people to committees all the time. So I would say that would be an option as well. And we can put the who on it later. I think short term, let's let them know we're concerned.
One of the things, I've had small conversations with Rochelle about this a little bit, and I think one of the goals and objectives will be to get that group to agree to some type of statement that they can then pass out to other municipalities so that there can be a uniformed statement of support too, not just from that group, but they can send it to, you know, Champlain, to the town, and, you know, keep going down the rail to show some uniform voice.
So it needs to support Albany.
Yeah, well, we've talked that the county legislators that are involved in this line across the state need to hold hands. And I think that will be an action that's taken as well. The supervisors from the various towns that were at the county supervisor meeting, I would say with one exception, all expressed support and interest in getting involved and sharing their support. The exception, I think, will make it involved as well, but there was a concern that as we force them to change the path, force them to improve the rail lines, improve the bridges, buy the cars that are safer, they have a heavier armor plate, that it's going to drive the cost of oil up, and that's going to be borne by the people who buy the end product, and there could be a concern there. That discussion led to, so we would rather people pay for the proactive preventative measures or pay for the multi-billion-dollar cleanups after and the loss of life.
So that is a...
It was an interesting conversation.
Because that oil is not going to, it's going overseas. It's not going to the United States.
This is another notice of a meeting that's taking place, the Lake Champlain Committee, City Hall Auditorium, Thursday, August 28, 7 to 9. This has a nice cross-section of representatives that are concerned about, you know, the industry, the environmental issues, and so on and so forth. I think it'll be a good place to gather information and learn more not only about the issue but about what our role might be. So that's just open. I didn't notice any request for an RSVP, just a request that we might participate.
I'll do it.
So,
And anybody else can too, but I'm going to this.
yep, good.
You may see me there, Tom.
I don't recall what my calendar's like yet for Thursday, but it's important that we're there, and whoever's there, we need to get some information back. Anyone have anything else concerning that topic? Stretch your summer on the waterfront. Again, just a reminder, you've got the date. As I've shared, we will be in a tent. I will be there. We will have our planning department there and our recreation department. We haven't really put together any packages. We'll bring our banners and do what we do. A lot of it is for the community to ask us questions generic to the topic or whatever they want to, I guess. We, as of today, we're having some discussions about what to do with our kayak rack. Ours has been constructed. It's at the Cable Beach. We haven't set up the rental policy for that yet. That's works in progress, but at that point, we plan to announce one of the waterfront revitalization improvement opportunities is for people to leave their kayaks, canoes, and these racks, rent space for a nominal fee, and make it easier for them to just show up, get their kayak, get on the water. We've also shared some things via email about a kayak event at Cable Beach you all are invited to. And the kayak shack will have their shacks on their kayaks on the 6th down there. It sounds like it'd be a lot of fun. There's more media rollout coming. I'm actually doing something on Wiry with the mayor and John Jablonski from Vision to Action. We're doing a morning talk show.
It's not tomorrow. Are we doing something?
I don't know. Is it tomorrow? No, that's not tomorrow.
Tomorrow is, no,
No.
Oh, that was for employees. That's right.
The radio talk show will be next Tuesday at 11 o'clock. If you want to hear whatever that is, I have no clue, but
and
it
then
should
next Tuesday
be fun.
evening is when they're doing something. No,
Tuesday
I
was
think
a town
it's-
board meeting.
I think it's this Tuesday. Mel's doing something.
That might be at Cateville Beach.
Yes,
That could
there's
be.
two.
I don't have my calendar, I can't
I
go.
think it's tomorrow.
It's tomorrow for.
I mean, I read an email, I'm pretty sure she said.
Yeah. Oh, that could be, I don't know. Like I said, it's not my calendar, I can't go, I have something else to be in.
6 to 7:30.
But stretch your summer, if any of you can make that for any part of that day, that would be nice. And remember, they're giving away a kayak and a paddleboard, but you have to be there to get it. Those are the rules. Okay, I don't have a number 6 this evening, so we can just move right along. Rick did, yeah, I did give to you the resolution 281, I believe, amendment to resolution 277. Good. We haven't talked about that, as you can probably see when you read over your minutes. One of the things as, after our meeting last week, and I sat down, began to put some signature on some agreements, etc. This one stared at me and the math didn't add up. I took a closer look and the math didn't add up. It was off by $1,000, so we need to bring that back for approval with the right amount. That's what this is about. It's a typo, I suspect, versus an addition mistake. But a whole lot of us missed it, so that can happen. So Resolution 281, amendment of Resolution number 014-277, contract number 1, Route 3 and Sorrel Avenue, pump station change order number. You don't have it in your packet?
Yeah.
It is. I got it.
Yeah, it's just back away.
It's because you can only
Where
use
is
one arm.
resolution?
Use one hand, Jerry, that's why it's hard for you,
Yeah.
but it's there.
Is it in there?
I haven't found it yet. Go ahead,
No,
Rick.
that's in there. Keep going.
Oh, it's after all the minutes.
Yeah. That's 277, not 281.
No,
Right.
No, we want
14,
281. It's a new one.
281. It's the fourth sheet in from the top.
We're gonna have to get a page turn.
Yeah.
That's where the
That's not it.
Fourth
There you
sheet,
go.
Jerry, fourth sheet from the top, from the beginning.
From the
Not
top?
sequencing.
Yeah, fourth sheet in.
All right.
One,
I've got the minutes after this, so it should be before if I...
Thanks, Marty.
I didn't have Deborah, so that's how I fed the machine. There we go.
Whereas resolution 014-277 was passed to approve a change order number 1 for Route 3 and Sorrel Avenue Pump Station project is recommended and approved by LaBerge Engineering and Consulting Group and Scott Stoddard, Director of Water and Wastewater Department. Whereas resolution 14-277 incorrectly noted the total amount of the project for the total of the change order as $4,616.58, when the correct amount, as indicated by the documentation from the engineer consultant, should have been $5,616.58. Therefore be resolved that resolution 14-277 be superseded, and the supervisor is hereby authorized to accept change order number 1 in the total amount of $5,616.58 for Sorrel Avenue Pump Station and Route 3 Pump Station dated August 6, 2014, from the 2013 Water and Wastewater Budget Account, Sorrel Avenue, for $3,190, and Route 3 for $2,426.58. And to be further resolved that a copy of this resolution be given to the Director of Water and Wastewater Department, the Finance Manager, and Stephen E. Fuller Excavating Incorporated.
Have a motion.
So moved.
Mr. Cashman, second.
Second.
Mr. Mannix, any discussion? Roll call.
Thomas Wood,
Yes.
Mark Mannix,
Yes.
Michael Cashman,
Yes.
Gerard Renadell.
Yes.
Bernie Bass.
Yes, resolution carries. Now we're into the minutes, which should be next in your stapled packet. So if you see anything, please let us know. It's not impossible to get an X in a wrong line or miss something. Following that, I just want to walk through the drafts with you. We have 3 that I'm going to ask for an executive session to discuss. Let me see how I wrote it on here. To discuss collective bargaining negotiations as part of 14 of Civil Service Law, which is directly related to the 3 resolutions. We've had some discussion about each of them. and about the individuals and their civil service classification. We've evolved beyond the classifications that have been around for a number of years. I tried to change this first one, Mr. Bros, reclassification and promotion to superintendent of building and grounds. If you look at the second resolved, it should read $1,095.55. I was not going to redo all these because of that typo. I'll do the final one. That should be $10.95.55. And that is prorated by the time this is done and so on. We're talking basically the last quarter, so you're talking a couple of $100. Civil service on each of these, because of the nature of the beast, it would require some sort of increase in salary over their current titles. It's a promotion, more responsibility, etc. The second one draft that you have is changing Mr. Von Bargen's title to that of senior planner. Remember, he has been titled as a engineering assistant. We haven't had an engineer working for the town in quite some time. I guess it's not a stretch of the imagination that he may be assisting the consulting engineer. But since we've brought Mr. Stoddard on board, who is an engineer, we've reduced the consulting engineer's needs pretty significantly. And given the job descriptions, he's been reclassified to the position of senior. In the second resolve, that number also was an error. It should be $10.92.80. That should be in 80 cents. That will be corrected in the final. And again, that's prorated, divide by roughly 4, and you're coming up with roughly a couple $100. And the last one didn't have a mistake on it. This one is not a salaried position. This title would be changed from Mr. Cole to that of planner, which is the duties that he has been doing. I don't even recall offhand what his current title is. We'll discuss that later. That one would be an increase of 50 cents per hour. Now, if you're doing a little mental math, that basically is what the three of them are, is 50 cents per hour for the balance of this year. His is written this way because he's an hourly employee. The others were based on the 2,080 hours for a year for a full-time employee, times the 50 cents, divided by, et cetera, et cetera. So they're completely equivalent. And again, this is staff, it's negotiations, it's personnel. We will be getting into more detail later. But that's the essence of the three. If you have any questions that you want to bring up now. The next one rather, is another appointment to the Finance Committee. Marty's indicated that Mr. Miller, if appointed, would serve. It's always a good thing. I think they had I vaguely remember Deborah in the comings and goings today sharing that Carol Lee had contacted the town, maybe called her. Do you know anything about that for her oath? That she wanted to know when she could come because she works and so on and so on. So anyway, I just remember that. We'll have to follow up. We never had the conversation. I think she started 5 interruptions later.
No, because I brought it to your attention there that she hadn't been in to sign it, and I told Pat to get a hold of her, and that was the last thing I heard.
I don't know what her work schedule is, but we'll have to make that work, I guess, somehow. And Mr. Miller's would be the next one, if you so.
Is that 4 now?
2, 3, I think.
And with Pat 4, and then we have to appoint a board
We have one
member.
more appointee.
One more to do.
One more appointee.
And so is the year in sequence? with the-
Staggered dates, yeah. The last one, Curly, was the 2018. Mr. Carpenter was 2019. And the next one will be 2016. So they're all staggered.
Okay, so this is 2017. 2016, we'll have it all.
Then we have, we want to decide how close we are to that last one, because we could get them to start setting up at least coordinating the first meeting. So the next draft is an RFP for computer services. This has been long coming. have to give some credit where it's due. Our finance manager grabbed hold of this. I had shared with him some of the things I had. He just burned the midnight oil and pulled it off. I've read through this. I think it does a good job. I don't have any changes. I think there was a lot of sensitivity to any of the legal issues, but Jim, please take a look as well. And if you see anything you have concerns, let me know. I'd like to pass this so we can get it going next Tuesday. I've indicated to a couple of people that this was coming. We encourage their responding to the RFP.
Can you give the amount of money we're talking about here?
I don't believe there is any amount of money. We want to hear from them what their proposal would be to provide this service at what cost.
But clearly, we expect it to be more than $10,000 when we move to go after bid.
I can't imagine otherwise, really. I think that was our problem before. The private firm, we just can't afford to have somebody on call. So. Oh yeah, it's going to be over 10,000. My assumption is if we came in under it, we wouldn't have to bid. That would be even better. But do look it over, take some time. Let me know if you see anything. I hope I didn't miss any typos. I get a little email with just lining things up, make sure it's blocked the right way. But you look at it so many times and it all begins to jump. I've got one more that isn't on there. This came in late. My comment was for tonight. And Mr. Woods gave me well, I can't say a teary eye, but he would like it at least in draft form. I don't even know if I've really read this draft over, to tell you the truth. It happens so fast. Jim's a little concerned that we don't drag our feet too much on the salt order. The cost, of course, has gone up, so we get to pay more and buy less. How much do we want to fool around with how much salt we buy? And I mean, that presents a lot of issues as far as keeping the roads open and safe. Last year it was $60.06 a ton. This year it's $73.85. It's going up $13.79 per ton. Jim would.
They're not aware of that 1.56% cap.
We should call them and let them know that.
I told Jim that a few years back when salt was going for $96 a ton, I called Saudi Arabia and got a better deal, but.
And this is negotiated by the county on volume. I mean,
And the resolution goes on to point. I talked with Jim about it. He told me this was coming. That he's sensitive to the fact that our budget being what it is, he's got some items that are surplus that he's looking to sell to try and to generate the money that he's going to need to buy the salt. So this is not like it's going to be an undue burden. And looking at, if you can trust the Farmer's Almanac, it's calling for a bad winter again this year. We don't want to be left, with plenty of snow and no salt.
last year the ice really hurt us.
Yeah.
And you don't know if it's just snow, then, use sand, they change the mixture, sand, salt. But you've got to be prepared. If you need it, you can't get it, it's too late. He also can buy 20% more than we've agreed to if he's got the money. And you may see this revisit. We may get what we can now. And then, as you said, with some, he's got some surplus he's selling and trying to generate the money in his budget to buy the 20% beyond. The probability of it going down next year is pretty slim. But Marty, I'll be good, but I just can't miss an opportunity. I wish we had 2%. We don't even have that.
Yeah.
And it's illogical. You just can't do it when everything else is going up around you. It's not a level playing field. You just can't. And I suspect some of the intention is to force either collapse or consolidation in some smaller
Well,
communities.
there's no question that's the intent.
It's a real problem. We've begun to work with the budget. We'll be scheduling some meetings with departments. We're going to make sure we have a reasonable draft before we do that. We've met with a couple of departments already. Everybody knows the line. Again, negotiations, we'll talk about that more in a little bit. But it's extremely difficult. And for a town like us that didn't have a general tax, you take 1% of our levies, 1% of nothing. You can't buy equipment with that. You can't buy parts. Keep equipment going. So it's pretty frustrating. But anyway, that's another story, and I said I wouldn't go on. It just won't last forever. Something's got to give. So we will polish this up a bit. We don't have Jim's letter. You will have a letter from the highway superintendent. It's been drafted. We brought it in really late, and as we looked at the calendar, I said, we'll put it on so everybody knows it's coming, but it's a crude draft. Dr. Klaus didn't come. We may revisit his topic. I'm not sure. I'm not going to speak for him, but as we talked about, and there were some things that just changed because we've updated, we've upgraded, we're more sensitive to the process. I think one of the concerns this year is the application had to be notarized. Well, it does have to be notarized. That's what's on it. If we didn't do it before, I'm glad we're doing it now. Forms change over time, right? Fees change.
We process notarizations here.
We do, and that's not a problem. But one of the things we did, and Rick, if I don't represent it right, please interrupt and I'll turn it over to you. But we have a application and a permit fee. We set an application fee of $250, and we have a permit fee of, is it $150, Rick? Do you know offhand the permit fee?
No,
Okay.
there was nothing for a permit fee that went with this, it was just an application fee. Because we did you're getting the, what do you call it, peddlers and all of that, we had an application and a license.
Have we been charging a permit fee?
No.
So we are just charging an application fee, right? Okay, because that was one of the issues, that we were charging both. The other thing is, if we have someone, I'll use Dr. Klaus for example, who does multiple events in the town. Are we charging him, let's say he does 3 events in the town this year, are we charging him $250 every time to duplicate the same materials every time, with the exception of the site, which has to be reviewed and so on?
He has to get 3 separate insurance certificates. They're
Right.
made all completely separate.
Yep.
It's 3
insurance.
separate applications onto it, 3.
But do we charge that individual this $250 every time? There's no extra work for us on that.
Well, you
You're
still
saying
have to
work
coordinate,
each side.
coordinate the thing with the insurance company.
There's no less work for him.
Well, there isn't, but what we're doing now, and that was something else Dr. Klaus wanted to talk about, is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Rick used to go around to get all the signatures. This time we had the applicant do that, correct?
Yes, because it was done at the last minute and there was other things going on, and I said to his secretary, there's one other sheet that has to be done. If you want to process this today, then you're gonna have to get this done, and that's what she did. That was the only time that she's ever done it. All the other
Right.
times it's been done like this.
Well,
In the same token, he was complaining because he said that the city of Plattsburgh and the town of Schuyler Falls doesn't charge anything to do it. It's just, so I said, then he said, well, what about Rouse's Point? But the one in Rouse's Point, all the fireworks are put on by the village of Rouse's Point, which they don't charge themselves something. And the same thing with Champlain.
I
But
think,
in the same token, I went to Saratoga and asked them down there, and they had both. They had an application and a license permit fee for whatever you do.
How much would it be?
Same thing, $100 and $250.
But we only charge the 250, we don't charge the 100. Okay.
What is the purpose of the, I mean, what is he, I mean, who's the recipient of fireworks, so to speak?
I think that, Jim, might be the, well, it's the next question I had. If we have a vendor who's doing fireworks for the community, if we have fireworks at the fair, that's nothing to do really with the community. Participants who pay to go to the fair get the benefit of fireworks in the grandstand. But if we have something that's for the community, for example, on 9/11, we have fireworks on Crab Island as part of the Battle of Plattsburgh, and it's just community at large. There's not a private profit-taking organization that's paying for those fireworks. Should we, again, charge $250 to the same vendor to do a community show?
The whole purpose of this is to recoup the cost of our clerk's time.
Right.
Whether it's the mall doing it or a charitable organization doing it. Our clerk or his office still has time invested in this. I don't think that we can just say, because the certain organization is doing it, we're gonna waive the cost.
The whole reevaluation of these fees was done because we were looking at the costs that we were absorbing.
Yep, pay to play. And I totally agree with that, but I guess as things change, and I guess one of my questions, I thought one of the big things for the clerk is when he runs around, you got to get the sheriff's department, ambulance, fire. State police, that's time consuming out of the office. Now,
Besides Stevie has to approve it too. Oh, yeah.
now, are we having the vendor do that, or was that just this one time?
That was, the only time that she did it was that one
Come in
time
on the-
because
come
they
in on
came
the
in,
Last minute.
they came in at 2:30 in the afternoon and wanted it done, and it had to go to the meeting that night.
I'm gonna toss this out there, I think we should put a push pin in this conversation, because I have a feeling we're gonna have it all over again with the doctor.
Well, we may.
Yeah.
I don't know why he's not here, if he's chosen not to, or if he wants to reschedule or forgot. But that's the topic, and I wanted to bring out those issues.
Okay, I think you were getting one person's side of the issue.
Right, well, Jimmy and I have discussed this onto it with the new law that they came out with all the permits and licenses that are required that you have to follow up on. There's a lot of stuff.
I'm just curious, who's the recipient of these fireworks?
But I think that's arguable, though. I mean, one could say, well, part of the reason that the fair may do so well is because that's a feature of,
People are drawn to it.
that draws people in. One might say, well, the skies over the town, you don't necessarily have to go to the fair, but, there's certain viewing points. I mean, there's so many different.
No, but is this doctor, is he hired to do it for the fair? Okay.
He was hired by the fair, he's hired by Post 1619 to do this show that he's gonna do at Crab Island.
Okay, well, that makes it clear, it's not a charitable thing, it's a
No.
business.
Well, my understanding, I don't know if he charges or whether he volunteers. I don't know the answer to that. Okay? But the issue is that what the clerk's responsibility is, and believe me, this is something you read the controller's reports, and they are looking at whether or not these things are being checked. He has to look at whether or not they're properly insured, whether, and that has to be double checked. As you were saying, they have to go to the fire department, they have to, all of these steps have to be done. That takes manpower.
That's part of the reason we're not doing it in SUNY Plattsburgh during our homecoming. I mean, there's a lot of logistical items that you need to get through. There's certain vendors that you can do it, the timeliness, the administering that. I mean, there's a lot of hoops to jump through. The college was doing about a 15-minute show versus something that's a little bit larger. So what are the costs and benefits? So you get to that point, and, definitely I think Ricky's time is of a certain value in that process.
Well, I think that's true. The other thing I think is that every time somebody puts on fireworks, we can't get into a debate as to whether it has a charitable purpose or not.
Exactly.
I just think,
If there's time involved, that's the
Well,
whole
it's-
purpose for the permitting.
It's like saying, the baseball game, the baseball game is raising money for a charity versus it's not. I mean, you still have to provide, you have rules and regulations to follow and equipment to make sure is there. And those are the responsibilities that you have of oversight.
That goes along with the licensing of it, or the application.
but I think it's true, but in addition, you can't, every time it comes up, get into a debate as to the.
No.
No.
Agree.
Well, that's what I said.
Endless negotiation.
I had to call Virginia the last time on the explosive license because it was right on the borderline of, he had already applied to renew it, but it wasn't renewed. The license that we had at the time was good, but the day of the show, it had expired. So, this is something that our insurance carrier, Pool Insurance, he said, well, but at the time his permit is to do it, it's not gonna be good enough. So I had to call Virginia, to the federal place and get an okay from them or a copy of his renewal license to do it.
Now, the only thing that I could see that might make this different is if a vendor like Dr. Klaus, if he were to put on 3 fireworks shows, and at the application permitting for the very first show, he shows licenses that are good for 12 months.
But I
Do
think.
you have to check those licenses each and every time? Or, should the benefit of the doubt be given, or not benefit of the doubt, should it be given consideration because he proved them? If the clerk doesn't have to do as much work the second and the third time, should the fee be the same?
Well,
That's the only time I
But
could
that's
see.
not gonna be the case with the certificate of insurance, though. The certificate of insurances are gonna change each time, because if it's at the county fair, and then it's at a ballpark, and then it's at somewhere else. So you wanna make sure that you're collecting all your information separately. To me, I think, when you start to do that, well, why isn't it 5? Why isn't it 2? It's.
Well, I think the big thing is a town can't operate efficiently if you have philosophical discussions every time somebody walks in the door and say, I'm gonna get a fishing license, but I'm gonna take the fish and I'm gonna give it to the Salvation Army or something, so it should get, and you just go crazy. I mean, it is good. I've been working on that for a while.
Same token, with the explosive license, if something happens and he's buying gunpowder or something somewhere along the line and it's
Yeah,
suspended.
I think,
revolt,
but I think it seems we all agree, you just can't debate each and every one, you get worn out.
I will let the doctor know we discussed it. We don't see any change warranted. If you'd like to come back for further discussion, I will certainly let him know he's welcome. I don't have anything else on my agenda. Does anyone have any committee reports?
Can I just give a 30-second update on the dog park that we had
Please
talked
do.
about? We have had a community meeting. We had approximately between 8 or 10 people come out, express some interest. We have some folks in the audience today that were there. We're continuing to develop some thoughts and rules and regulations and mapping out some details. We will have another meeting next month, and from that point, hopefully we'll have a more developed program to bring to the board. So, but continually growing interest. So, yeah.
Dang.
I wanted to congratulate you on the letters that I saw regarding the work done with the department people at Plattsburgh regarding, Katie Park.
Thanks. Yeah, they
Very
will actually,
productive.
they'll actually begin this week.
It's great.
Crazy enough.
It's absolutely great.
With that said, if there are no other
Go into an
reports?
executive session to discuss town tax and the work history of specific individuals, three specific individuals.
Do I have a second on that motion?
I'll second.
Mr. Mannix, any discussion? All in favor indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We will go into executive session at 7:50. I do not have anything else on my agenda, but I do not know if the end of the executive session will warrant action or not.